Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the international launch of SURE, Smart Urban Security and Event Resilience here at Dubai Expo. I'd like to welcome all of our esteemed guests as we launch SURE, which is a holistic event security solution that provides joint real-time situation awareness to authorities, event organizers, and cities, so everyone is on the same page during the event. SURE is a proven concept for safer cities and urban events, a multidimensional and agile way for cities to increase security during events that can be tailored for any urban setting anywhere in the world. SURE has been created by the city of Tampere in collaboration, and by the way, Tampere is in Finland, in collaboration with the Tampere Region Safety and Security Cluster in Finland, which is one of the world's safest countries. My name is Maria Falken, and I'm your host for today. I'm an entrepreneur and service designer based in Finland, and one of my first focus areas has been the value proposal for SURE, which today is to build a seamless combination of security and atmosphere at urban events. So security that doesn't interfere too much with the people who visit and want to enjoy the event. The importance of working together is one of the central pillars of SURE to improve cities' resilience, security, and capacity. As we launch and celebrate SURE today, we have an exciting lineup of esteemed speakers, discussions, and panels to share with you. And now to start, I'd like to wish a warm welcome to Aino Salmi, Deputy Head of Mission at the Finnish Embassy of UAE. She will share some opening remarks as we start our afternoon session. Welcome, Aino.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aino Salmi. I'm the Deputy Head of Mission at the Embassy of Finland in Abu Dhabi. I bring my warmest greetings from Ambassador of Finland to the UAE, Ms. Marianne Nissilä, who regrets not being able to be here with us today due to some travel duties. It's a great honor and pleasure to welcome you all to this highly interesting launching event of SURE, Smart Urban Security and Event Resilience Project. Thank you to Finland's Expo Commissioner General, Mr. Severi Keinälä, for this opportunity to organize this event at Finland's beautiful Snowcape Pavilion, a piece of Finland on the UAE territory. Expo 2020 Dubai is one of the most impressive and long-lasting events organized during the pandemic. It is a great showcase of safety, security, and joint cooperation of various authorities, event organizers, country representatives, and volunteers in very challenging times. Expo offers a unique opportunity to learn about and from each other. Finland is one of the leading countries in terms of innovation and technology know-how. Finland has as well been ranked as the happiest country in the world for 4 consecutive years. It is therefore quite natural that the Finnish pavilion presents under the theme Sharing Future Happiness, globally leading clean technologies, circular economy, sustainable energy and digital solutions, and a lot more. Finnish happiness is built upon trust and safety, a stable society, education and functionality. It is made possible by innovations in industry and society. The feeling of safety brings happiness. Today, Finland is showcasing innovation, technology, and cooperation possibilities from City of Tampere by launching the SURE, Smart Urban Security and Event Resilience Project here at Expo. The City of Tampere is one of the major hubs for businesses, universities, and major events in Finland. Tampere is the 3rd largest city in Finland and also one of the most fastest growing and developing cities in Finland. This project has been funded by Urban Innovative Actions, UIA. UIA is an initiative of the European Union that provides urban areas throughout Europe with resources to test new and innovative ways to address urban challenges. It is great to have the international launch of SURE here in the UAE, which is also very well known as one of the safest countries in the world and well known for its various events and large number of visitors annually. Urban and event security is an increasingly important issue in creating a happier and safer future. We will hear more about this in the upcoming expert speeches. On behalf of the Embassy of Finland, I finish by wishing you all an inspiring afternoon filled with fruitful discussions around the themes of safety and innovations. Thank you.
Thank you, Aino. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a video greeting from Tampere, Smart and Secure Tampere, with Anna-Kaisa Ikonen, who is the mayor of Tampere. And now it might take a short while before we get the video or the link running. There she is. Welcome.
Oh, and greetings from Finland and Tampere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SURE VIP event organized by the city of Tampere and SURE partners. It's a pleasure to meet you here. The Dubai Expo is the first large-scale public event in the Middle East since the outbreak of the pandemic. Over 100 Finnish companies are participating in the Finnish pavilion during the exhibition, and 2 of these companies are technology and especially security technology companies from Tampere region, Nokia and Insta. They have been building the SURE solution together with the scientists of the academia and the experts and residents from the city of Tampere. Sharing future happiness is the theme of the Finnish pavilion. As we heard, Finland is known as a country of happiness and of safety, and Tampere is the most wanted city to live in Finland. So we are pretty happy to be living right here, right now. About happiness. We can share happiness when we feel safe and secure. When we feel safe and secure, we can attend and enjoy events, and for example, let our children go to school by walking without the parents taking them there by car. The city of Tampere and SURE are happy and proud to be involved in the World Expo that addresses the key challenges facing our world today. We believe that the SURE solution will play a key role as an example of innovation, technology, and cooperation in urban security solutions. Security is made together. We are happy to participate in the World exhibition and bring Finnish security innovations that have been built in cooperation and as a result of public and private sector partnership and with the support of European Union and UIA. Ladies and gentlemen, you are warmly welcome to the SURE VIP Day. Enjoy the day and the agenda.
Thank you, Anna-Kaisa, and thank you, Tampere. Next, we have a few welcome words from Severi Keinälä, Commissioner General Finland at Dubai Expo 2020.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Finland Pavilion. When looking at the pavilion from the theme's perspective, as you heard already a number of times, that we have the theme of sharing future happiness, the trust and safety is in the table from the day one. Our architects at JKMM Architects, Teemu Kurkela and Gregor Tunsek, when they designed the pavilion, they have designed this pavilion to be a safe place for large numbers of visitors. We have now already over 700,000 people who have gone through our pavilion without any incidents, largely due to the excellent planning. When you go through the exhibition, you notice that there is not a single threshold. It's easily accessible to all, non-dependent on if you're walking on your feet or wheeling around in a wheelchair. The places are wide enough that people don't bump into each other. There's nothing to stumble on. And this is something that the experience of Teemu Kurkela, who also has designed our Shanghai exhibition or Shanghai pavilion, shows. In many other pavilions, you do find a lot of steps, a lot of things that you can have accidents around. not here. Same applies to the VIP area. It's all in a one flat area, all the way from elevator to steps to the last corner of the pavilion. Then we had another group of people working on the pavilion, namely the designers, the Symbiosis Consortium, consisting of Flatlight, Photo Design, Sun Effects, and also JKMM Architects. They planned the whole exhibition so that it is easy flow of the visitors in the pavilion. We have done the pavilion with the free flow that you can choose your own way how you want to go around it. We are not forcing any timetable like many pavilions do. With this, we want to express the importance of freedoms in Finland, freedom of movement, freedom of speech, etc. In the pavilion, all the displays are placed at the low level with the tilted screens on the sides of the pavilion walls. So anybody can go there and stop at the slots where you find interesting things for you. And also, again, with walking or with wheelchair, they are equally as well accessible. When we've been building this pavilion, the security has been underlined very much by Expo and Dubai South, and also, of course, our own team. All the construction time, we have closely followed all the regulations of safety and workers' welfare in building this pavilion, and we did not have any serious incidents throughout the whole construction time. We had a very good cooperation with Dubai South and with Dubai Civil Defense, integrating the Finnish pavilion to the systems of UAE. For example, the elevators, the firefighting systems, they give alarms to us, but at the same time, the alarms go to the Dubai South and to Dubai Civil Defense if there is anything wrong with the elevator or pavilion in general. We have 24/7 boards in different places of the pavilion communicating with the UAE systems. So we are fully integrated in the UAE security systems of the buildings. That makes this place safe and trustworthy. Also, many pavilions have security forces around them or security people around the pavilions. We have none. This has been a conscious decision. We trust so much the security of the whole Expo area that we did not see any reason for having our own security people here. The whole area is very well monitored by people, by the CCTVs, and we have not had more than 1 or 2 minor incidents of individuals misbehaving. But we have been able to handle that with our staff and with the support of Expo security. So I would say the whole pavilion is extremely safe and secure place for all the visitors downstairs in exhibition and also here in the VIP. And I hope that this is a good foundation for sharing our future happiness, as our theme goes. I wish you all a very successful seminar today. I hope you learned something. I hope that you find things to take with you, new ideas that you can develop further later on, hopefully in a cooperation with the Finnish actors, our partners of the pavilion. Thank you very much for your time and have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Keinälä. Next, we have representing the city of Tampere, Mr. Perttu Pesä, who is Director of Major Events, also former Vice Mayor of the city of Tampere in charge of sports, culture, business development, and second-grade education. He will give us some background for sure and the future of smart urban security and event resilience. Over to you, Perttu.
Thank you very much, distinguished guests. Welcome to Pavilion of Finland. First, I have to say that it's been a brilliant to be in Dubai right now. You know, I rather be in a +30 than in a -20 when it's what it is in Finland right now. It feels like you're an ice cube in your Coke right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, the city of Tampere, it's the second largest regional area in Finland, and as you can see from the picture, it's quite a narrow area. It's between two large lakes. Up north, there is a Lake Nasi, and at the southern part, there is a Lake Pyhä. And between those is our narrow city, which is about 1.6 kilometer from lake to lake. So if you want to do something in the city which is so narrow, you have to go under the ground or you have to go up. And those are the things what we are actually planning to do. Some basics from Finland. So Finland is a tiny nation with stands up north in the northern part of Europe. I usually say that Russia does have Siberia, and United States do have Alaska, and Europe has Finland. So we do have a 5.6 million inhabitants in our nation, but the land area is wide. It's 4 times bigger than the United Arab Emirates are. As you heard, our nation is the most happiest nation of the world, and I don't know why. But we are the most safest, and I do know why. Because we do have so much space around us that we are not used to touch each other. So Tampere is the 3rd largest city and the 2nd largest region in Finland, with a population near to 250,000. And you can see where we lie if you're thinking about the European scale. So we are living 170 kilometers up north from our capital, Helsinki. The start of the new kind of Tampere 2.0 started time when we actually took the whole city, not block by block. We discovered the whole city as a one, and that brought us a lot of new energy, a lot of new ideas, and actually Tampere is right now developing more than ever. You know, still in 1970s, the nickname of Tampere was Manchester of Finland. And that was because it was a big industrial city during those times. In those times, we had 110 different chimneys in the city landscape. Right now, we do have 10 left. And 3 of those are working. We decide that we would like to innovate something new. The new arenas, the museums, tram systems, and in the centrum, sorry, this is in Finnish, Tampere yliopisto in English is Tampere University. So 250,000 inhabitants and 40,000 of those are students in our universities. And actually, in our Hiedaranta, we just got the permission to make our first artificial islands. Just 20 years after you, but it was a big step for us over there. We are growing fast, and we start our growing at the start of the decade. Approximately 2 to 3% more population every year, and that brought us a lot of problems because in that time, in our capital Helsinki, the traffic rises about 9%, and in Tampere 36%. So we had to bring a new solutions because it's a narrow area, and we decide that we are taking a tram. I don't know why, but this is a good solution for men, my age, because usually we love to drive our cars. We don't want to go to buses, but if there are rails, we rather use that one. We also decide that we need new arenas for our events. And last December, we opened the brand new Nokia Arena right in the city center. And I show you the area where we actually established the new area. You can see the railroads over there. So we've been having the railroad since 1876. And we decide that we are covering the railroads. We are making a deck, and that was actually the largest bridge what was made in Europe during the last 2 years. Over that, we make the new arena and a training area, some new areas for businesses and flats and etc. And we go further, and we are going to cover the whole track area and take that as a part of our new city centrum. So in 2026, the picture from Tampere looks like that one. And I have to say that you still do have a taller buildings that we do, but we are rising those during the days. We are talking this area is a Congress and event district because it takes 10 minutes to walk from other side of have all the hotels in the same area too. So why we being keen to have some major events? Well, the part of the dilemma is that everybody knows the capital. Nobody knows the second city. You have to be visible. You have to be innovative to just being seen in all over. So we are hosting the Ice Hockey World Championships this year. It's a huge in Finland. I might even rather to say that ice hockey is a kind of religion in Finland in many ways, as some of the sports are in the world. We do have the World Masters Athletics. Next year, European Masters Games, wrestling, taekwondo, etc. And if you're thinking about why the city is keen to have these competitions, is that during the May, we do have 500,000 tickets in a 2.5 week time. 85% of those tickets are sold right now. The values are same in the city and the competition. Community, sustainability in euros, and there are going to be 0.6 billion TV viewers. So that's the fact why we want to go further over there. All right. Thank you.
Sure is a proven concept for safer cities and urban events. It is a multi-dimensional and agile way for cities to increase security during events.
We are expecting more than 500,000 people to participate Ice Hockey World Championships here in Tampere. Sure helps the organizer to plan and prepare the event and the city area to be safe and secure for the participants. Smooth traffic, people flow, and security are the heart of the successful event.
So now we are getting closer to the core of the SURE solution. We are now going to officially launch SURE with Annina Autero, who is head of project and PhD, City of Tampere on EU Urban Innovative Action, Smart Urban Security and Event Resilience, followed by Sari Mäenpää, Senior Business Development Manager and PhD at Insta IBA Solutions. And Sari will be joining us via Teams after Annina's talk. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We are really honored to be here in Dubai and the World Expo. Smart Urban Security and Event Resilience, the Baltic Institute of Finland and the City of Tampere, who's leading the development, and also the residents of the City of Tampere are the benefiters of the solution. We are funded by the Urban Innovative Actions Initiative of European Union. By the Smart Urban Security and Event Resilience concept, we mean that it is a service concept that is a holistic concept, and it's more than just a technology tool. It is the services and their characteristics, including processes, people, tools, and technology. By holistic, we mean that it is technically and economically possible to produce, it is legally possible, and it's socially acceptable. So I'm going to tell you about, in my presentation today, about the developments and the challenges in the world that we are facing today, then what the SURE concept is, why we have built it, and also what is the SURE receipt, and what we have been doing in Tampere. So under the northern stars and the aurora borealis, we have been reading the world, and we have a lot of challenges. In the cities, we have rapid urban growth. By 2050, 2/3 of the world populations will be living in cities. So it means that we have to build even higher. Political instability is one of the challenges that we have to look at. Our geopolitical location in north and in the east makes it difficult for us. In 2015, EU immigration crisis meant that there were 1.2 million asylum seekers in Europe, and there were lots of people flows. The climate catastrophe, natural phenomena, and the damage it causes to people, infrastructure, and the environment has to be taken into consideration. And of course, the pandemic that we all are facing. Pandemic has tested our future resilience and how well our society is able to respond and to decide appropriate measures and emerge from the crisis. And of course, what is important is to learn from it. And in tourism and event areas in the cities, we have internal challenges. We still have inabilities to take advantage out of smart technologies. We have several users of the services. Everybody has their own system, their own processes, and their own ways of working. So this siloing thing is one of the challenges that we are facing. SURE is building an integrated platform that we are able to collaborate better, and we are able to do better safety and security work. So the SURE is a joint situation room with real-time shared analytics and communication to make better decisions in safety and security management. We have tested it with authorities and event organizers, so it's a proven concept for safer cities and urban events. And as mentioned, it's a multi-dimensional and agile way for cities to increase security during events. It enables a tailored security solution for any city. And when we are tailoring the solution for the cities, we really need to understand the infrastructure and the logics and the soul of the city, how it works. And what is at the heart of the solution is building a sense of security. It is attractiveness is, of course, really important for the cities to build the brand for residents and the visitors that it's a safe and secure place to live and people can enjoy there and spend their lives there. The solution supports and guides even security actors and authorities as mentioned, building cooperation and supporting decision-making and operational performance. And we've got a lot of people who have been working with us. So it is developed and run by the city of Tampere, but in collaboration between a lot of actors. And we have really active Tampere Region Safety and Security Cluster, and they have been helping the solution throughout the way. So why SURE? We are trying to support the cities to reduce the number of incidents and crime. That is the main aim. So that people would have possibilities to have their everyday life, and then when we have events in the city center, that it would be in balance and people would not suffer from the crime and disruptive behavior. Increase cross-sectoral preparedness to threats against organizers, security actors, and authorities is one of the aims, and to improve and invest into resilience infrastructure, the capacity of the city. The better sense of security, we aim to keep a good balance between visible and undetectable security measures to enhance the event experience, and that's why we need to understand how the logics in the city work, whether the residents want to have visible or invisible elements. And to reduce and prevent incidents and accidents is, of course, one of the aims, and to support safer and easier commuting and smoother people flow during events. Improve the collaboration and communication between event organizers, authorities, private sector and public sector organizations, and the citizens. And as mentioned, it is an attractiveness for the city. So we try to build a reputation that our city is a top-class, safe and secure city where we have nice events and people can enjoy their living there. So it's a question of growing the event industry in the city and gain new mega events, bringing more visitors, event participants, business income, build an attractive ecosystem of companies and professionals. And we have, of course, been thinking about the economy, so that we would be able to forget the over-resourcing, so that not everybody has to stare the same monitor. We put the machine to work for us. And so that we would have the right people in the right place when needed. And of course, the deploy emergency services personnel would work in an effective manner. And it is about to prepare the security personnel even better. We have done these calculations on the social return on investment, which is a long-term measurement. What are the effects in the society in a long term? And we have identified that by using the SURE solution in the city of Tampere, it reduces 30% public savings. So the parameters I will discuss about a bit more detailed in our panel today. But the elements that we have studied are decreasing crime, export of innovation, knowledge sharing. You share it, you criticize it, and then form your thoughts around it again. Increased interinstitutional efficiency, and the fifth parameter is economic spillover effect. So the SURE receipt goes in 4 steps. First, you have to analyze the baseline, assess it, and do the stakeholder needs analysis. We have been listening to the citizens and the residents of the city of Tampere and the people who go to events to find the best possible setup for the city and its needs. Secondly, the solution architecture and technology has to fit to design and tailor devices, platforms, technology, and the smart solution for the city's needs and existing infrastructure. And simulation exercises, some of the parts that we have identified globally that doesn't always exist in these command and control systems. Simulation exercises help us to identify the risks and do better collaboration between the authorities and the event organizers by exercising towards specific security threats. And of course, the 4th step is the deployment support services to ensure that customers get up and run rapidly and provide best practices towards a successful deployment. So what we have been doing in Tampere, our event security platform collects data with sensors in the city center, and the sensors are city cameras, and partly we're able to use drones. This data out of people and traffic flows is handled without using any biometric identification. It goes to the command and control decision-making platform called InstaBlue Aware, and it's a technological basis for the system. Nokia Scene Analytics is identifying the changes in people and traffic flows and alerting the system in case there is something that it has to be alert. And we have also developed the infrastructure in the city of Tampere. So smart cameras, smart lighting, guidance system, and traffic control system is in our use in case we would have to evacuate people from the event areas. And they will support the people and traffic flows, as Mr. Pesa showed, from this narrow space between two big lakes rapidly and smoothly as possible, so that we will keep the sense of security in balance. What it requires and needs. It, of course, needs a really good dialogue between the actors in the event business. There are professional event organizers, as we have here, and there are also events who don't necessarily have professional organizers, but they still are in charge of the venues. So the dialogue has to go hand in hand between the event organizers and the safety and security authorities. It has to be, the tone of voice has to be the right one, and the mindset has to be the right one. And you need to be able to identify the logics in the city and the infrastructure and the soul of the city to be able to find the right tone of voice, how it works. The simulation exercises that we've done those for the music festivals, and now we are approaching our other simulations towards sports venues. We have built a concept of exercises. We have specific security scenarios that we test together with event organizers and the authorities. And these multi-dimensional simulation exercises are really interesting to follow. They are quite challenging so that everybody understands the same language and everybody knows the same goals. But we have been able to identify the right tone of voice, and the collaboration between actors has been smooth. We strongly believe in people-centered solutions, ultimately applying insights from the smart technologies, making the daily lives of citizens and visitors in Tampere safer and more secure. So we are really people-oriented in our solutions, and technology comes second so that it supports us in our way to produce successful events that are safe and secure. Thank you for your attention, and we will now go to the presentation of Mrs. Sari Mäenpää about our IBA decision-making platform.
Welcome, Sari. Can you hear us?
Good afternoon and greetings from Insta, a technology company of more than 1,000 experts working for safe and secure digitalization. Insta is part of SURE project, and I like to say that our situation awareness platform, InstaBlue Aware, is the technological backbone of SURE solution. Today, I would like to raise two focal points to explain how InstaBlue Aware supports cooperation between authorities, for example, police, emergency medical service, rescue department, and between authorities and non-authorities, for example, event organizers. First, IBA is a map-based platform, so it integrates and presents different data sources on the same map view. In that way, it supports building and sharing common situation understanding between IBA users. And if some users have specific needs or want to restrict the view from other users, it's possible to have user-specific views on the same situation information. And second, InstaBlue Aware is a web-based solution, and it can be used on computer, tablet, or mobile phone. And this means that it supports task management and communication by connecting actors both on the field and in the authority situation centers or event situation rooms. So perhaps I can conclude by saying that InstaBlue Aware is a way to move from information and operational silos into more collaborative ways of acting. And if you want to learn more about InstaBlue Aware, please contact me or leave your contact information to SURE representatives there in Dubai World Expo today. Thank you.
Thank you, Annina, and thank you, Sari. Next, we are going to have a panel, but as all the panel representatives are not here yet, I suggest we switch the agenda around a little bit and go for a coffee break first to ensure that everyone... All right, well, sorry, no coffee break. Forget that. Panelists are arriving. Okay, thank you. All right, so the idea of the panel is to highlight smart urban security and event resilience in the UAE. And our focus will be smooth security and hard technology, a seamless blend of technology and atmosphere for urban events with SURE. And in this panel, we will have an exciting lineup of esteemed expert speakers who are joining us today. And as moderator for the panel will be Oliver Hussey, who is Senior Business Advisor at Invest in Tampere region. Oliver will also handle all the introductions to the panel members as soon as they arrive. So over to you, Oliver.
Thank you, Maria. So if the panelists that are here, welcome. Please take your seats, and our other members will be here shortly. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Oliver Hussey. I'm with Business Tampere, which is the regional economic development agency for the Tampere region. So it's our role to promote our local companies and help them internationalize and find export markets and so on, and also to attract foreign direct investment into the region. Shall we wait for the other members to join? Okay. Okay. Yes, indeed. So yes, the theme today is smooth security and hard technology, a seamless blend of technology and ambience for urban events. And Khalifa Al-Nuaimi, Head of Telecom Division, Infrastructure Department and ICT Center. Mr. Al-Nuaimi joined Abu Dhabi Police in 2002. In 2018, he earned his highest degree, a PhD in Project Management from the British University in Dubai. In addition to his responsibilities at Abu Dhabi Police, he is also a telecom committee manager for most of the events around Abu Dhabi City, such as the Grand Prix Formula One event. Mr. Al-Nuaimi is also co-founder of Digital Barza, which aims to accelerate the process of sharing and exchanging knowledge. Thank you for joining us. Also from Dubai Tourism, I'd like to welcome Ms. Aisha Ben Luta, Internal Audit Director, Risk, Business Continuity and Information Security. Ms. Luta holds a Master's of International Business from the University of Wollongong, currently pursuing a Doctorate of Business Administration in Tourism Events at the United Arab University. She holds several committee positions within the Tourism Board of Dubai, including those focused on information security, crisis management, and crisis communications. Thanks for joining us today. A few more minutes. Well, we can start with some general questions. First, maybe on events and event security in the UAE. I arrived myself only about 5 hours ago for the very first time in the United Arab Emirates, so I'm keen to learn and would love to hear your comments. So first, maybe to you, Mr. Al-Nuaimi, how do you see the event security in the UAE today?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to your second home, United Arab Emirates. And would love to welcome everybody who just visiting the Expo and being over here. I hope that you are having a wonderful time and a great experience. Hopefully not going back to minus 20 degrees. Stay here until we have the summertime. First of all, looking at the events that we are hosting lately in United Arab Emirates, I'm not going to talk as a police officer, but as a resident and a local who's from this wonderful, great nation. Lately, we have been hosting so many events, either in Abu Dhabi city or Dubai, or even the rest of the Emirates and the countries. I guess the world has given us a trust. Whenever we are hosting any event, either sports, cultural events, tourism events, and so on. One of the most important events I would like to mention over here, the visit of the Pope Francis 2 years ago. I guess it was the only and the first visit for such an important person to the region, and it was done in Abu Dhabi. And you can imagine how was the security all around the globe. It's not that we are living in a Muslim country, but he's a Christian. And the importance of this guy was so... So the visit of the Pope Francis was one of the most important events that we had in United Arab Emirates, as well as the Grand Prix Formula One event. Why we are having so many events and why the world has given us the trust to do so in so many events. I guess during the pandemic, 2019, the first event that we were having was the Abu Dhabi or United Arab Emirates tour. And that event started with the COVID-19. Since that time, we shut down all the events. But 2020, we hosted the UFC event in Abu Dhabi. And I guess for those who are not familiar with UFC, it's the fighting that nobody likes. And I don't like it at all.
And we have a very good Irish champion. Thank you for bringing it up.
As part of the telecommunication committee, we were organized and arranged to host that event in Abu Dhabi with so many coaches during that time. And we had the bubble for all the organizer and the teams. There were more than 250 people coming all around from Brazil, Russia, Germany, UK, United States, Canada. And I guess at that time, United Arab Emirates has given and show the rest of the globe that we are able to host whatever events that we can have. And an Expo 2020 is one of the big example. And this is why you are here. Within 5 hours, you are good enough to run the show. You don't need to go for a rest.
Thank you, and thanks for such a diverse range of examples there. I think from Pope Francis to UFC fighters is quite a diverse range of visitors to give as examples. Thank you. Also, I'd like to finish introducing our other panel guest today. From Digital Dubai, welcome Dr. Marwan Al-Zaruni, Director of Information Services. Dr. Al-Zaruni is an internationally recognized blockchain technology advocate, keynote speaker, and strategic advisor. Dr. Al-Zaruni is the CEO of Dubai Blockchain Center, an impact business and a strategic partner to Dubai Future Foundation. Dr. Al-Zaruni is currently heading the Digital Asset Task Force, a research and advisory team that reports to the Dubai Future Council for Blockchain. Thanks for joining us. And last but not least, also to introduce Dr. Autaro, who is leading the SURE project on behalf of the city of Tampere. In her previous role at Tampere University, she also led the safety and security cluster of the Tampere city region. Dr. Autaro is the chair of the board of directors of company Anitech, which provides services for the fields of IT, finance, and security. Dr. Autaro holds a PhD in Administrative Services, Social Sciences from the University of Tampere, and she did her PhD partly in Stanford University and the University of Colorado at Denver, USA. Thank you. So to continue the discussion on events and event security here in the United Arab Emirates, I'd like to also put the same question to Dr. Al-Zaruni. How do you see the event security in the UAE today?
Thank you, first of all, for having me. I think event security entails a lot of stuff. One of them, of course, is physical security. And I think it was covered enough by my colleague here. And I think the UAE and Dubai with Expo 2020 set the bar very high for every country actually to follow and every city to actually follow the lead in that case. I think it's a testament to using technology and using when it comes to logistics, when it comes to all aspects of event organization, to make sure that everything is done not only in a secure managed way when it comes to logistics and flow of people and control of crowd and things like that. You can see even today in the Expo, the venue is full, but there's a lot of people who are crowd managing in a nice way, not in a rude or robust way. So I want to cover the technology aspect. A lot of the stuff in events management is covered actually behind the scenes. You see only what is evident in the space. What you don't see is actually the huge data infrastructure that's behind it, the huge CCTV network, the huge people behind the scenes, making sure the traffic flow is done properly within the pavilions, within everywhere, in every kind of event. I'll give you an example of the scale and the number of people that come to Dubai for events. We actually, in between February 1st and end of March, just before Ramadan, we have around 40 different events outside of Expo, and equivalent events even more so, in more than 40, maybe double that even, and within Expo. So imagine that in any other country, if Expo events by themselves would be the majority. In Dubai, you have Expo and outside of Expo events happening simultaneously. And you can see that how this is actually a huge burden on the aspect of vetting the speakers, the organizers, even avoiding things like within the crypto space, avoiding scams and scammers. It's a huge logistical nightmare for regulators, for law enforcement, for organizers, for even speakers to get them here on time and get them to their space. And you've seen I was a bit late because I was in another event in DIFC actually. So all these events happen simultaneously, and I think it's a testament to Dubai and the UAE that we can actually simultaneously run multiple events and run them successfully.
Thank you. And then same question from the Dubai perspective and from the tourism perspective.
Hi, hello everyone. I think before starting to speak about the events and specifically on the event security, I would like to highlight the importance of the event industry to Dubai economy and tourism under the leadership and the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE. So basically, to make Dubai the most visited city, the best city to live, work, and visit. One of the key things I want to highlight is obviously, as my colleagues just mentioned regarding the pandemic and the recovery from the pandemic. I would say Dubai continues to be at the global forefront when it comes to the industries, specifically to the event industry. And obviously, I think my colleague Marwan was speaking about the 40 events, I think the global 40 events, but we do have a lot of domestic events as well from a leisure business perspective. The events calendar is across the year, and we have an attractive event calendar. I would say, as also my colleague highlighted, Expo, it's, as you can see, the world's greatest show in Dubai. I want to highlight something else, actually. It's not only the event security, but the safety and security and well-being of everyone is our top priority and has been always. So Dubai has been ranked one of the safest cities as per the World Economic Forum. And thanks to all the authorities and the robust work that has been worked across the city with the private sector and the public sector as well.
Thank you. And the next theme is more specifically on the city event security. So I'd like to start by putting this question first to Mr. Al-Nuaimi again. What are the biggest challenges and bottlenecks in city event security in the region?
Thank you. I guess it's the challenge that we do have in our region, exactly in United Arab Emirates, and especially in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or the other Emirates, hosting an event in the city. The challenge that we are looking for is to find some risk and some vulnerabilities to deal with. As you know, the United Arab Emirates, it's a gun-free country that nobody allowed to carry any guns. And if you are going to any events, one of the most interesting things I would like to highlight here as what our my colleagues were talking about, the 40 events that we are talking about. If you go as an expert coming from Finland, I would like to ask you to go to one of the events that we are hosting around the city and figure out if one of the security guys are having guns, or at least a law enforcement tool. You will never, ever see such a thing. Yes, you are in Finland, living in the happiest country in the world, but we are living in the safest country in the world. This is the limit that we are reaching. And what, as Dr. Marwan said, we are trying to organize the event in such a wonderful way, as well as a high standardization. And this is when our leadership, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, talking about we are getting to number one. We are not looking for number two. It's always the standardization and the quality of the services and the events that we are hosting. The challenges, I guess the biggest challenges that we are always looking for or waiting is how we are going to make you unhappy.
Thank you. And I think we have a good friendly competition. We have a good friendly competition there for the safest country in the world. So we'll be seeing you there in the top 1 and 2. And also happiest. Okay, we have a few competitions. Same question, maybe more from the Dubai perspective to you, Dr. Al-Zaruni. What are the biggest challenges and bottlenecks in the city event security in the region?
I think, look, it's not, I ask people, a lot of people who actually decided to move to Dubai, what made you move to Dubai? And it's different for everyone, I think. And one of the things that really distinguishes us in Dubai and compared to other countries, don't want to pinpoint any other place in the world, but attention to the lifestyle, a city as a service, anything you want to do in Dubai, like getting a permit is very easy. Also on the UAE level, getting a bank account for a startup, it's extremely hard elsewhere in the world. We made it, and we took all the steps that are necessary to make this experience around the user. So user experience is very important to us. And city as a service is a very important initiative that we want to actually achieve. And I'll give you a very good example. So Digital Dubai, where I work, actually used to be called Smart Dubai. And the focus was in improving government services and any friction point between the consumer and the government. But that vision has actually flipped to the whole city experience, not only in government-based services, but in all the city services, from renting a car to getting in a cab to buying an apartment, renting an apartment, ordering food online, ordering goods online, doing anything that has a digital aspect to it. We want to improve everything across the board as an experience for the city. That's where we aim for. We aim for seamless experience and using digital as a caveat as an enabler for that.
Seamless. Thank you. Same question. This time again from Dubai tourism perspective. Bottlenecks.
Hi.
And challenges.
Just on that specifically, especially on the pandemic, I would say, before I would speak about the challenges, we in Dubai and the UAE, we see the challenges as opportunities. As you can see, the UAE was a desert, and you can see the skyscrapers everywhere today, right? So all those challenges have been actually operationalized to opportunities. So the way how we see the pandemic or how we acted in the pandemic, the global recovery and the global impact on the tourism industry and the event industry is something that we all need to take into consideration, whether it's not only from Dubai. It was a global challenge. However, due to the robust measures that the city have taken and put into place, we were able to be the first one to close and one of the first one to open and stay open throughout the pandemic. Obviously, we have been also ranked the top in terms of global resilience as per Bloomberg. That was in January 2022, just recently. On top of that, the world's safest city, as I've spoken about it as well. And I would like to share some other statistics. Basically, we are also one of the highest vaccinated nations in the world. 95% of the nation is being vaccinated who are eligible for vaccination. And all those robust measures have actually led us to be at this place today, that we can say that Dubai have welcomed 7.3 million visitors in 2021, despite all the global restrictions in the global market, in the travel market, right? So, and that was an increase of 32% from last year on 2020. On the other side, I want to highlight that we have also taken a lot of initiatives like the Dubai Assured Stamp that was supposed to basically restore the trust in the global product of Dubai as a tourism destination. One of the areas that I want to also highlight is the operational challenge of the private sector. Basically, obviously, all those precautionary measures have increased the cost on Dubai, right? And have increased the cost not only on Dubai, in the global market, and on everyone, and especially the private sector. So we as a government, whether it's the UAE government and the Dubai government, we have introduced a lot of incentive packages, and we continue to provide those incentive packages to the industry. I was just speaking today in the management committee in the morning, and we have extended basically the events and ticketing incentive package to June 2022, which is obviously for the half of this year. So yeah, that was what I about to say from a challenge perspective and how we take it into consideration.
And these incentive packages, these are made available to event organizers?
Yes, these are for the private sector.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Now switching to specific questions to each of you. Regarding simulations, a question for Mr. Al-Nuaimi. Are there simulations before the big events? And a second part to that, how do you practice for major events? Who is involved and what type of tools are used?
I guess you are going for more classification information that you need me from Abu Dhabi, please.
Whatever you can tell us.
Well, in general, I guess the training, it's always got to be there. And whenever we are hosting an event, the arrangement and the organizer got to meet at least before the event within a month ago. And last weekend, we just finished in Abu Dhabi the UMEX and the semestic event that belongs to the military and the army technologies. And on the 2nd of March, we are going to have another event as well. And there was a meeting yesterday and a table training as well with most of the organizer who are involved in the security event committee. There is always training before the event. And I guess going back to our leadership, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, he's always nominate and mention the teams who are working behind the scene. And this is because they are always training and they are always working together as a teamwork before giving the perfect show. And I guess the opening ceremony of Expo 2020 has been one of the fascinated event and a moment for all the organizers who've been behind the scene and working. And I remember that we had meetings even during the pandemic, 2019, for Expo 2020. So I guess it's always got to be training.
And the players there are public bodies, the police, also businesses. It's quite a broad group, I'd imagine, involved in those kind of simulations.
Yes, whoever are involved in these events,
yeah.
But not like you who are visitors.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks very much. To Dr. Al-Zaruni, what is the importance of cybersecurity in events, and how have you prepared for possible cyber threats during events?
There are a lot of aspects, like my colleague mentioned, that are classified. But what I can speak of is actually on the digital forensic side. So we actually prepared a lot of capabilities and did a lot of training for our staff and the Bioelectronic Security Center to actually handle digital forensics cases, investigations to do with any kind of digital aspect within and outside of Expo. So there was in the run-up to Expo, years before the Expo, there were a lot of tabletop exercises, a lot of simulations of cases that could happen involving mobile phones, involving laptops, servers, and others, where everyone, even if they were not forensics experts, were actually given the training just in case we need staff to handle cases in the worst case possible, and the absolute, if we have to image a lot of devices, we have to do live forensics, and any kind of scenario that you could imagine, we had staff trained from all aspects of digital forensics. And this is very important to train them before the incident or before the event. And in addition to that, we did a lot of green team versus blue team exercises in our cyber range to prepare them for attacks that are coming or potentially could be coming on the actual digital infrastructure, whether it is publicly facing or internal.
Very good, thank you. And the idea of seamlessness in all of these solutions has come up a few times in this discussion. So for you, Ms. Benluta, how is communication managed between event organizers and officials? Because communication is key in all of that. seamlessness?
I think if we speak about communication, I wouldn't only speak about communication with the event organizers, but I would put them into 4 buckets. One will be basically the communication with the government entities, which is our government stakeholder. The second will be the global market, because we as a organization, we operate in 50 different markets, and we do own or have offices in more than 22 different countries. So it's quite important for us that we have a global messaging as well. And then we move to the industry side, which is the event organizers and the venues as well. And then on the 4th side, or the 4th bucket, I would say the general public with their inquiries. And so if I would put them into phases, so I would say the first phase will be the pre-event, which is the planning and the communication pre the event. And then there's the communication during the event and the communication after the event. Well, someone would ask, why would we have communication after the event? Because there might be some lessons learned, there might be some incidents. So we have to wrap up these reports and analyze how we can leverage from these best practices or these incidents that happened in our basically next event. So that's in a nutshell. But the way our Department of Economy and Tourism, we do have event security plans that are also coordinated with the Event Security Committee and the rest of the government entities. So it has different streams. So one of the key important streams is basically the communication stream, where we have our public and PR, international PR team. We have our social media team. We have our celebrity engagement team as well involved. We have our call center team. So that's all part of the communication team. And then we have a messaging team, or the information team. So this information team basically includes the stakeholder team, the festival implementation team, the overseas offices. Basically, they will take those messaging and deliver it into the global markets. And then you have basically the actual planning team and the field team, the field team will be the inspection team, the festival operation team as well. And then we will have, obviously, at the planning side, we'll have also the festival planning. We'll have the Department of Risk, Business Continuity, Information Security. So all of those for the planning perspective as well. And then at the end, you will have all the support functions, including our third parties and agencies, including the digital side and infrastructure and security for all type of scenarios that can happen, because we might be at an event, but a ticketing system might be hacked, right? Or a platform that sells tickets in the city. So this is how we take it forward in Dubai tourism, I would say.
Very comprehensive. Thanks very much. Now I'd ask you in your minds to transfer your thoughts from plus 20 to 25 Abu Dhabi and Dubai to minus 20 to Tampere. And I'd like to ask Dr. Autero about measuring impact. So how have you calculated the impact of the SURE project in Tampere, and what is in it for the cities?
Thank you for the transition to the cold weather. We don't want to remember that. So yeah, measuring performance is of course important so that we would know what are the long-term results and effects on society when we use specific solutions. We have studied a lot about the ambiguities of performance measurement and indicators, but we decided with our economists that we just have to start calculating, that we need to be able to know what are the results. Then we identified these 5 parameters, and the first of them has given us some promising results, and it's this reducing the incidence and crime level by using the CCTV cameras. And we measured the damage to the society and the costs that the investigations for the crime affected for the society. Of course, it's challenging to work with the statistics, but we had really talented experts in our team, and we were able to identify the specific number of crime, the thefts and the damage that happened around the event areas during events. And we were able to calculate the costs of the investigation. And then we identified from the research findings what is the estimated reduction of this disruptive behavior, so how much we can save. And we put this into figures and did the calculations, and the result was that we're able to save 30% out of public savings in our case. We still have some work to do with the parameters, the export of innovation, which tells about the revenue coming in from the internationalization of the shore solution, and of course the knowledge sharing, how much we're able to share knowledge and information between the authorities and the event organizers, how much can we learn, and there are some calculations that we are still working with that figure. And the increased interinstitutional efficiency, meaning that when we are collaborating, we are more efficient, we're able to save times, we're able to save lives, we're able to save a lot of money. That is the fourth parameter that we are working on. The economic spillover effect is the fifth parameter. So how do we result in undisruptive event experiences? How does it affect into the economic activity in the cities when we have safe and secure venues in the city center? So these are the measures that we have been calculating, and we've done a lot of collaboration between European partners and the universities, and we haven't identified anyone who has been done the calculations. And yeah, we are really happy about that.
Thank you. And all that done while still complying with GDPR. And maybe that's something we can share with other regions as well, how to achieve all of that and still comply with these regulations. Thanks so much. Thank you all for joining today, for taking time out of your busy schedule. Very much appreciated. We do hope you can stay with us for a little while, enjoy some Finnish food without the weather, and interact with our guests. Thanks so much. We have a little gift.
Okay, so now we have the coffee break, but first, thank you for sharing all your Before I let you go and have some coffee, I will tell you about two keynotes that we will have after the coffee break. The first one is from Ali Khalifa Al Gais, who is Chief Security Officer for the World Expo 2020. And he is followed by Joseph Bradley, who is CEO for Neom Tech and Digital Company. So let's get back here at around 10 to 3. Thank you.
اللي هو البوست ايفنت هو exco during the construction event legacy phase by third actors targeting all people groups with the public theme and mass gathering area within the last mile. Lena.
All right. Are everyone satisfied with their coffee break? If we could ask you to start approaching. All right, let's start again. By the way, I like the safety and happiness competition that we have going here between our countries. It's really nice to see us competing about who is the happiest and the safest. So welcome back. I'm now very honored to introduce our first keynote speaker, Colonel Ali Khalifa Al-Gais, who is Chief Security Officer at the World Expo 2020. And he will be speaking on the topic of unique event security challenge at the Dubai Expo 2020, which is a major event on a global scale. Mr. Ali Khalifa Al-Gais is the Chief Security Officer at Expo 2020 Dubai, and his role is to provide strategic security leadership, governance, security design, guidance, knowledge, and decision-making with respect to the overall security in coordination with Expo concerned departments, including Dubai Police and security authorities, to achieve the execution of a risk-based security provision that delivers appropriate mitigation measures across all phases of the program. Please welcome Ali Khalifa Al-Gais.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to be here today, and thank you for the invitation. Everybody knows how you... Is the mic okay? Is it working? Can you hear me? Yeah. Everybody knows, how a big and mega event this Expo 2020 is, and I don't think with all my experience that I had 26 years in state security, either being on the field in operation or being in the management team. I don't think that I ever experienced an event such as this one. Yes, it was a big challenge. Yes, I'm proud that I was chosen to be part of this event. Just something that excuse me, I always remember when I talk about Expo 2020. I remember in 2016 when I joined the team and when I met Her Excellency, Reem Al-Hashmi. We were in her office and we were looking from her office window to the site. And it was just desert, a sandy area with a few probably trucks moving on the site. And I asked Her Excellency, and that was in 2016 in July. And I asked Her Excellency, are you sure we're gonna make it? And she said something that gave me the motivation not to even think of any challenge that we cannot deal with it. She said with the people that I already have on the team and with a person like you, of course we will make it. And that was it. That was the booster for me to be part of her team and to reach to where we are right now. As I said, it was desert, and I was thinking how I'm gonna plan to secure this site with different phases. We had to start from zero, nothing. I didn't even have any team in my division. Maybe we were like a couple of people just trying to understand exactly how we're gonna put a fantastic and a marvelous plan to deal with this event. That's the 3D. So the presentation. So the first thing, tell these guys that technical part will be all right, I'm gonna just improvise here. The first thing I was thinking, how to put a threat and risk assessment plan for this event. Of course, we started with the pre-event during the construction. So there was a construction phase. And then during the readiness, the event, and even the legacy. So we reached to some points where we had like 80,000 people on the site. And there was so many construction going on. tons and tons of materials, building materials coming to the site. Of course, their safety was our one of the priority for every person who comes to the site. And at the same time, whenever thing or Expo, spoke about a pavilion being ready, especially some pavilion that belong to UAE or to Dubai City or to Expo itself. We had so many visitors, VVIP, coming to the site while the construction was going on. So we had to make our plans and threat and risk assessment even for that phase, for the construction phase. Then, of course, it was the readiness phase where we had a rehearsal for Expo. It started in January last year and it ended in March. And we made another threat and risk assessment for that phase. Then, of course, the event phase itself. And most of our plans for threat and risk assessment was aimed and focused on this phase. We have another plan that we are working on for the post-event phase, and we just started with that. Sorry. Yeah. I think these guys are trying to make me look like I'm so important, sitting with some VVIPs here, with the president of Interpol, the previous one and the current one. But I'm trying to be humble here too, So these are the different phases that we worked on, especially when it comes to threat and risk assessment, from the minor thing that might happen on the site to something bigger. With the different materials, equipment, very expensive equipment being on the site. Of course, we had to make sure that everything's going to be safe and secured at the same time. So these are the 4 different phases. And then after we finished with the threat and risk assessment, I was thinking, what kind of teams I need in security, in Expo 2020 security. So I tried to interviewing people and picking some employees and some members of the team to help me to fill these different departments in our security division. Of course, we started with the project management office, and I'm happy that one of the members of this team is with us, Mariam Ahli. Their main task was to pick the right people when it comes to resources, to interview them, to check their qualification, to deal with the budget, to integrate everything with our external stakeholder and internal stakeholders. Technical security, of course, we were thinking, as Dr. Marwan was speaking earlier today about, the analytic system and, artificial intelligence and anything that comes in these categories. And again, I have another team, another member of that team, Ahmed Bouchouarb, he's sitting with us today. And of course, technical, the thing that I was thinking back then, when we established this team, I didn't want to count and depend 100% on Expo IT team, because I knew we will have challenges and things will not move as fast as or proceed as fast as we want. So we had this team because we had VIPs or VVIPs visiting the site during even the construction phase. I wanted my own VIP team to be on the site to deal with these kind of missions. I'm not going to say they worked alone. Of course, they facilitated so many things to the external stakeholders. Security operation, of course, you see them all over the site when you come to the site, and we are talking about the guards, anybody who's on the entrances, on the site, they are all over the place. The number of the security guards or personnel we reached up to 3,200 guards on the site. And that's not a small number to deal with. So that's why we have our project management who are dealing with the contracts, with the any requirement that comes from these private security companies. We have 5 different private security companies with that number of the guards. Aerospace or Expo Aerospace is something I believe is unique. It never happened before in any kind of Expo in the past. But since we plan to have our own heliport on the site, where helicopters and VVIPs and even commercially sometimes some VIPs come to the site. So we built our team and built our heliport and the terminal and the operation team and of course the technical team who are supporting them. And maybe you hear every single day there are helicopters here on the site. So this team is dealing with all these kind of visits. Plus they dealing with the drones, licensing for the drones, permits for the drones, and anything that has to come or has to do with the airspace on the site. Even fireworks, for example, this team, they deal with it. In coordination and collaboration with our government entities. Systems analytics. If you have the technical security, and you have approximately 17,000 cameras on the site with different analytic solutions. Of course, you need a team to analyze either automatically or by people who are working with you to analyze the movement, everything, every incident that happened on the site. Accreditation team, of course, without accreditation, you cannot get to the site or you cannot even bring your vehicles to the site. So that was one of the teams that worked with me from the beginning. It was AMS team, Access Management System team, and then it changed to accreditation. And after the event, we will go back to the previous system. Citywide integration. To deal with different entities, and I show you how many entities we are talking about. This is just part of different governmental entities that we are working with, and we are, coordinating on every single day. These are just some of the entities, governmental entities that we deal with. There are more, but these are mainly the security and the safety teams that we had to deal with, and we are dealing with till now. So we wanted our own department to deal with all the concerns that's between us and them with the citywide integration. We have a 3D project here for security, and we'll just go through some of the security procedures that we are following right now. Always with technology. Okay. When we first came to the site, it was just an open site. So we've decided to have a perimeter for the first phase as a mitigation plan. So we are sure that, nothing will leak out from the site and nothing that's not wanted or unwanted comes to the site. So this was our construction perimeter. I'm looking at the time and I see 4 minutes. Is it right? Okay. So these are the perimeters that we worked on, and this one, this is the secure perimeter that anybody who comes to the site, we call it the clean site. That's it. You cannot get to this site without a ticket or accreditation or a VAP, a vehicle access pass. Of course, as everybody who's in security world, you have to have the hostile vehicle mitigation perimeter to stop any hostile vehicles get into the site. We have so many, because we have 4 different entrances, so we've decided to have different VSAs, or visitor security access. As you see, sorry, this is for the vehicles. So the VVIP gate, which is close to the heliport, is controlled by 2 entities, Expo, and 2 entities, governmental entities, of course, the Dubai Police, Ministry of Interior, and the Armed Force. I don't want to go through these different VSAs and PSAs. We know that we have, one thing that was mentioned earlier in this session regarding, having a special place for VIP. So we built on the site a leadership pavilion, and most of you guys are, aware of it. And this is only for the VVIPs when they come to visit the site with their majlis and everything. We don't want to go through the VIP routes, but this was part of our exercises and rehearsal. When we did the planning and scenarios, different scenarios, we planned for these different routes. There are so many information here, but one of the most important thing that, I said it's a unique one, it's, the helipad. We have our own heliport here with 7 different, parking, if we can call them. Plus one is for, Sheikh Nahyan that comes close to the main office, which is not shown here, but we have another one there. We have another one for the clinic that we have on the site, and that's for emergency cases in case if you have to deal with any, incidents or anything like that. We have the drone storage on the site to keep them clean, and once they come to the site and they are screened and searched, and we make sure that the trackers are built in these drones. Plus we have a UTM system. It tells us exactly how many drones we have on the site and when we are using them, and if they are, licensed, and if they have trackers inside. This system is, connected or integrated with Dubai Police and some other entities to make sure that we are all working as one team and we are all aligned. PSAs, I don't want to go through this, but I just show you one of them, and it shows how many, for example, how many lanes we have. Each entrance we have like almost around 22 lanes, which are used in full capacity sometimes, especially nowadays, since we are getting close to the closing ceremony, and people who hasn't seen Expo, they are, coming, and the numbers are increasing. A week ago, we celebrated our 14 million visitor on the site. But I think, of course, the aim was 25. But with the pandemic that we have, and with so many challenges that we had during this event, we probably reached the 20 million, which is, which is very interesting with all these challenges that we had. Yeah, it is. So, this is what I have in general about our security team or, division in Expo. And we leave the question and the answers once we start the panel, unless if somebody has any question right away and I have to answer it right now. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Actually, we could have a small Q&A here. If anyone has a question, put your hand up and I will run to you with my microphone. Very silent group. You will have a chance to hopefully ask some questions afterwards when we have the networking session after the third keynote. So thank you very much for sharing your nice 3D demonstration and your insights on the Expo security. So, keynote speaker, who is Mr. Joseph Bradley, who is Neom Tech and Digital Company. He will be talking about enable the first cognitive city, establishing data trust that enables seamless digital to physical experience. Joseph Bradley is Chief Executive Officer of Neom Tech and Digital Company, the world's leading cognitive technology company. And he is responsible for formulating the vision and delivery of the technology and digital ecosystem for Neom, building the foundation to create cognitive cities. So now all we need is Mr. Bradley, who apparently is here. Welcome. Please to the podium.
How valuable is it? You have COVID. Is that valuable to you? Or is it more valuable to know, guess what? Given the growth that's happening, as you have COVID in this area, you should avoid this area so that you don't get COVID. Real time is too late. Entire process. And so in getting real-time information, that real-time information typically means that we capture lots of information, but we only use 5%. You leverage 95% of the data that you collect, create insight. So the two, the same amount of information overall, is the ability to leverage and use that insight. What typically starts in a smart city, smart cities are fun and filled with use cases, POVs, proof of values, proof of concepts. They're isolated deployments. In a cognitive city, you have a common data infrastructure, so you are talking about system-wide implementations. Because why? Because you need to have data that shares from one asset to the other. Traffic information can help tourism determine who's coming to the area to visit, which can help financial services be able to determine the exchange in the financial systems required, which helps policing be able to understand what areas could be hot pockets based on where people are gathering. All these things depend upon one another. So a cognitive city is fundamentally one that is predictive, is proactive, and it takes a system-wide approach. So that's great. How do you build one of those? How do you do that? How do you build one of those? Fundamentally, the first thing that you have to have is trust. Why is that? Why is trust so fundamental to a cognitive city? If you don't trust, we don't get data. If we don't get data, there is no value. Trust. How much value would you put on trust? How much value would you put on trust? Is there any Facebook folks here? Okay, then I can pick on, I'll pick on Facebook. How did that conversation go on the board? What was the value of trust? It was so valuable, you had to give up Facebook's brand. Can you imagine that conversation? How valuable is the Facebook brand? And you said, I'm gonna give it up because we've lost trust. That's how fundamentally valuable it is. So it's critically important. It's about a $1 trillion economy. So when you think about all the data that we're collecting from you, your financial information, your purchase, all that drives about a $1 trillion economy. So critically important. So what's the issue? We're driving all that data. What's the problem? Okay. My father is an avid car guy. Is there any car fanatics in the room? Car? All right. Yeah, I'm there too, right? Because I'm his son. So I didn't have a choice, right? Didn't have a choice. So we grew up in Chicago. We're going to the car show. And I take my dad to the car show. It's about 10, 11 p.m. We leave the car show and we now fly to the West Coast. So by the time we land, it's about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, which means it's about 3 a.m. in Chicago. And my dad come off the plane. He's like, God, this show was awesome. Man, Mark is telling me everything to know about this new Mercedes S63 that he really likes, the coupe, and he's asking him all these questions. My dad's like, this is unbelievable, great service. And I said, Dad. He said, what? I said, it's 1 o'clock in the morning right now. It's 3 o'clock in the morning down there. He said, what's the point? I said, I'm not sure how to tell you this, but Mark isn't the kind of person you think he is. He said, what do you mean? I said, what have you told Mark? He's told him everything. What he's going to buy, when he's going to buy, what type of car. I said, well, here's the thing. Mark is not human. You've been talking to a chatbot. Now, they should have told you it was a chatbot, but they didn't. All of a sudden, his whole view of the brand of Mercedes changed. If you ask my dad now, he's a Tesla guy, which is another problem. But anyway, he's a Tesla guy, right? He's a Tesla guy, right? He's moved over. That's the issue when people don't understand context, right? If I ask all of you, do you value your privacy? How many people value your privacy in the room? Raise your hand. You value your privacy? Oh, okay, it's good. Okay, keep your hand up. How many of you go shopping? Keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. Value your privacy. And how many of you, when you go shopping, you put everything you're going to buy on that conveyor belt? You do that? I thought you said you value your privacy. Everybody sees what you're doing. When you tell me on a diet, I tell the lady to count I'm on a diet. She looks at all those candy bars. She laughs at me. Yeah, really? Why do you do that? You do that because privacy is contextually based. It's directly proportional to the value you receive. So in that moment, you say, it's easier for me to get out of this store and this shopping experience and give some of the privacy because the value I receive from it outweighs it. You're able to see that. That's not happening in today's data world right now. It's not that clear. So you see, we call the privacy paradox. You see, everybody's concerned about it. 80% of people say data privacy is growing. They're concerned about collecting data. 30% of people say, I'm just out. I'm going to tap out. But yet, look at all the information you're giving. You're so concerned about it, but you're giving more and more and more of it. It's this privacy paradox. Most users, and I won't name the site, but you go to this site, you see the tip of the iceberg. You click accept, consent, and hope everything's gonna be okay. You just hit it because you want the service. Hit consent, that's good. What you don't realize is you just gave your information to 400 other sites. But you keep hitting that consent button all the time, right? Hit that consent button all the time. So at Neom in Tech and Digital, the company that I'm the CEO of, this is a major issue that we have to solve. Because if you come to Neom, we have to have an ability to gain your trust because we're building this cognitive platform. You're building this cognitive city. Whether it's a cognitive platform for a country, a community, or whether it's a cognitive enterprise that you're trying to build, right? We're selling, you're going to have to invest in a consent management platform, an end-to-end consent management platform. And it does three things. One, you need a platform that's able to help on the user side, to let that user know that these are their preferences. Here's who has their data. Here's how their data is being used. And guess what? They can't go through 500 different sites with 500 different formats to try to figure out what that is. So you got to solve that problem. Then you got the middle problem. You got to have a data exchange. That means you got to get the people that are data controllers that have the data to buy into that system, right? And they have to buy into the privacy and context concerns. A data controller has to become a data fiduciary. That means they buy into what your consent management platform is. And by doing so, they get the information to know what your preferences are and how they can influence your preferences, meaning what incentives can they offer you to share more of your data so that they can give you more value. right? So they can give you more value. And the last one, you have to have a policy management system. You have to be able to manage it from a control standpoint. These guys need help around compliance management system. So let me give you a really good example. Let's say you're a software developer and you're like, oh, I'm really excited. I got this great idea. It's great, this great program. When people come to visit Neom, I'm going to be able to tell them what's the wait times in certain lines. So if you only have an hour and a half, it's going to tell you go to that store, go to this store, go to that store. Great. That's a great application, right? Uh-oh. It's someone from the US or someone from the UK. Oh my God, the UK, if I get their names, I can't. Oh my God, I'm being in violation of the ROS, GDPR. Oh my God, 2.0. Oh man, what about this? I'm just a software developer. Stop. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to go somewhere else. If the data is available, the developer has to know they can use it. That's why this compliance tool is so important. Okay. So, and we talked about it has to go across all these unique profiles, right? So one of the things that we developed to do this is called MELD. And MELD is a consent management platform, whether you use MELD or someone else. The most important thing is to understand that from an end user perspective, it's got to tell you who has your data. It's got to tell you how that data is being used, and it gives you recommendations. And what it does is, instead of you having to go to 500 different sites and setting your different preferences, it gives you a framework that you can set your preferences once and it's replicated across all, right? But whatever you do, the first lesson, if you're going to build a cognitive city in today's age, is you have to solve the trust problem, and you have to deal with that from a consent management platform standpoint. You cannot leave it up to chance. You have to actively manage it. Okay, so now once you figure out that you got this great consent management platform and you solve that problem for a cognitive city, there's also another phenomenon that's a pretty big challenge. We see it every day. If you're a millennial like myself, it's easy to deal with. If you're not a millennial, it can be kind of hard to deal with. And this is the great digitization. Digitizing physical assets. Non-millennials have a hard time doing this. Who knows what an NFT tokens? Think of them as artwork, but in a digital fashion. Why would somebody buy a picture of a Mars house and pay almost $1 million US for it? I don't understand it, Joe. So why are they doing this? Okay. Yes. Was there? Because it's unique. You know what the secret is? How many have seen Jurassic Park? Jurassic Park fans? Oh, this is a great audience. I love you guys. We got the same movies. Jurassic Park. Okay. Remember the Jurassic Park? And they created it around dinosaurs, but how did they control the population in Jurassic Park? How did they control the dinosaur population? They controlled it because they made sure when they engineered the dinosaurs, they were all female. So they said that's how they controlled it. But what happened? Remember that crazy scientist guy? He introduced something called chaos theory, and he said, nature will find a way. And what happened? Nature found a way. They found a way to reproduce. COVID put us all in a room and said, thou shalt not leave. You shall not leave. You will engage in this 12 by 12 room and you will like it. And what do? We found a way. We rushed to the digital world. And so whether you're talking about digital payments or the digital real estate or NFTs, the digitization, people found a way to connect through the digital world, and it's not going away. It's too late. Yes, the Matrix is here. Yes, there's some kids, watch them online, just watch them online. They're loving it. And when I say kids, these are 45-year-old men. The gaming population, it's out the bag. So that has a profound implication on what you do when you're talking about a cognitive city. So Amazon has already recognized this. We see it all the time. Amazon went what? They went digital first. We struggle with this concept. We talk about a city. Oh, we got to build a city. We got to talk about how many population, it's physical. What do you mean, Joseph? The digital? No, it has to be a physical. That's how we measure our population, physical. Amazon, Facebook, Meta now, Google, what do they do? Apple, what do they do? They already solved this problem. They figured this out a long time ago. They said, we go digital first. They built Amazon digitally, and then what do they do? Then they built the physical store to enhance the digital. That is how you have to rethink. You got to rethink your enterprises. What is your digital version of your enterprise? That is what you have to rethink. It's not about, I love the people say, well, Joseph, what's the remote working policy? They've lost. Anytime somebody says remote working policy, they don't get it. There's no such thing as remote work anymore. That's gone. It's results-only work environment. Somebody said, well, Joseph, if they're in engineering and they have to put a fiber optic line down the street, down the sideway in Neom, they have to be in Neom, right? They have to be in Neom, right? I mean, they got to be there. You know what I said? If you can find me somebody that can sit in Timbuktu and control a robot and figure out how to dig a pipeline from their house, that's the guy I want to hire. Right? That's the big difference. It's a major shift in thinking. So if I told you the number one use of a cell phone 10 years ago would not be to make a phone call, you would have said you're crazy. You don't use a phone to make phone calls anymore. Right? Number one use is web pages, applications. By 2025, you will talk more with a chatbot than you do with your own spouse. Maybe you don't realize you're talking to chatbots. I can see that now. Right? That's what's going to happen. And then if you look at Fortune 500 companies, assets on the books right now, assets on the books, 90% of their assets are intangible. That's a 5x increase over what it was in 1980. Digital first. It's easy to say, but it's hard to really do. Digital first. So how are we doing on the digital side? How are we doing on it? How are we doing on digital? I mean, we have this, my sister, she had a son, his name is Malcolm. Love Malcolm. Little Mau. He can't say Joseph, so he calls me Uncle Jojo. So Uncle Jojo, he's gonna spend some time at Uncle Jojo's house. It was great. I'm super excited to see my nephew. It's gonna be a great time. But my sister didn't tell me one thing. She didn't tell me that he had school that day. So in my mind, I'm still thinking, I'm gonna take the kid and I'm gonna drop him off at school because that's what you would do. That's not, she was laughing. That's not what happened. What happened? Had a 5-year-old kid. I got to sit in a chair, keep him occupied as he looks at his little screen and tries to talk to a teacher and his other friends for 4 hours? Are you kidding me? That's the digital experience that we have. Or my favorite line of all, are you on mute? I must say that 1,000 times a day. Are you on mute? 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 Can you see me? Are you on mute? Can you see me? Are you on mute? That's our digital experience. Or I love the new clotheslines. The pajama wardrobes, right? That's our digital experience. That's what we've created. That's what we've come to know. And so there has to be something better. There has to be something different, and there is. It's this notion of being able to virtualize the real and realize the virtual. It's this notion of understanding that when you become digital, the laws of economics change. Labor, not scarce anymore. Land, not scarce anymore. Capital, freely available. Land, labor, and capital. In the physical world, those are your constraints. Those are what depends and controls your decision-making. Those are no longer the case when you shift to a digital world. So that means if you're running a city now, your challenge is understanding that a cognitive city is not powered by traditional city economics. It doesn't work. What works? It's a platform. It's platform economics. It's a platform. The more users, the more interactions, the more data, the more valuable the platform. That is the economic shift that has to occur. You say, oh my God, how are you going to pay for Neom? What are the economics of NEOM? And I laugh because they start with what? $1 per square foot. Like $1 per square foot does not fund a $1 trillion project. What $1 per square foot calculation do you know will fund a $1 trillion project? But there are such things as $1 trillion tech companies that leverage data, insight, and information to create unique experiences. And the more people that engage in that platform, the more valuable it becomes. So let me give you a sense of what this platform is.
Come on a voyage of discovery to a world of cognitive mixed reality, where life integrates seamlessly across the physical and virtual to optimize how we live, work, and play. A revolutionary urban living model with state-of-the-art city infrastructure and an advanced cognitive digital twin. Unique digital human transitions and multiple customizable virtual and real experiences. Augmented cognitive virtual environments and a digital to real-world asset ownership and monetization opportunities. Extend your life beyond the reaches of merely the physical for a way of life enriched like no other. Curate your new cognitive reality. NEOM, tech and digital, virtualizing the real and realizing the virtual.
Okay, so metaverse. What is a metaverse? Virtual life, virtual world. Yes, half right. Half right. What's the other thing about a metaverse? What has to happen? What makes a metaverse unique? Because it's just a video game, which is virtual, right? You can buy assets. Okay, now you're right onto it. A metaverse, by definition, has to tie the virtual with the physical world. That's the difference. It has to tie the two. If it doesn't, you're just on a web page, right? Decentraland, all these metaverse, they're not metaverses. They're just virtual worlds. But they like the metaverse name, right? But a metaverse has to tie the virtual with the physical. So let me give you an example. Okay, so this guy, Joseph Bradley, told me about some place somewhere in northwest part of Saudi Arabia called NEOM, but I'm in New York. I'm not getting on the plane going out there and flying to see that place. I like Joseph, he's a nice guy. But wait a minute. I got it. I can go on to Xverse. If I go on to Xverse, I can see NEOM. Okay, let me go check it out. Oh, this is cool. I get to actually see the physical world of NEOM virtually. So I'm looking at it. That's great. Oh, you know what? I'm going to buy a virtual apartment. I'm going to buy this apartment. Sounds good. I'm going to get a chance to interact. I like cars. This whole community, this apartment is all geared around automobiles. This is awesome. And we're sharing NFTs. We're posting content on. I'm loving it. I'm having a great time. All in the Xverse. This is great. And then what happens? And then NEOM sends me a note that says, hey, if we get 5% more people that buy this virtual apartment, we're going to build a real thing. I go, hey, this could be kind of cool. So I start sending to all my friends on Meta and everybody else, hey, you should buy this. Lo and behold, ding, 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 ding. They hit the number and they say, we are going to build the real apartment. You're like, this is awesome. But this Joseph Bradley guy, he told me the weather is supposed to be pretty nice. I don't know. I'm in Houston in the US, and Houston is humid and it's cold. I don't know. Is it really that nice? I don't want to get on a plane and go find out. So what do? I got it. Let me go back to Xverse. I'm going to upgrade my subscription. Guess what? I can upgrade my subscription, and now I can appear as a hologram. Oh, this is cool. So I take that option. So now I'm walking down the street, right where the building's going to be. I'm in their lobby, and I get a chance to interact with other folks that are going in there in real time, considering to buy the property. I say, hey, how's the weather? They go, oh, it's great, man. It's really nice. It's mild. Yeah, it's really light. And you decide, hey, it's worth an opportunity to go buy the property. That's just one experience that you can enable through Xverse. If you're in your roles, here's the point. Cities are limited by physical resources by the amount of labor, even count employees and people and citizens in your city. It's limited by the physical infrastructure that you can visit. Xverse is not limited in that fashion whatsoever. You can create as much of it as you want. And who does the building? You have an infinite source of labor pools. Anyone can come in and create that building, that asset, that technology. You have that. It is fundamentally a different view of the world. And so if you think about whether you're talking about this from a city perspective or whether you're talking about it as an enterprise, what is your virtualized business? How are you going to attract and conduct that business virtually? Everything that exists in the physical world can be and will be replicated in the virtual world. Got to understand what's happening right now. What does that mean? When you buy shoes, you can buy them in the virtual world. Everything. Everything. And there's no regulation right now. Do you understand? Take your economy and go times 3. Everything that you have. The person, you have an avatar, you can dress them up, you can buy cars, you can buy everything you can do in the physical world. Everything can be replicated and sold and produced in the virtual world. So if you're running a city, you got to think about that. Now, what about policing? How do you police the virtual world? Because you're going to have to. You're going to have to. Some a lot of smart folks. We just hired our first chief of the virtual world. She's super good. Thinking about things like how close do you allow another avatar to get to another one? Yes. Harassment cases. Absolutely they've been. Absolutely they've been. These are big issues. These are huge issues. So how do you get at that? But to get an ethics board. If you're going to build a cognitive city, you're going to end this virtual world. Ethics. You got to get a bunch of different people from different perspectives. Ethics. That is a huge, huge issue right now that you got to work through, right? But this is the price of admission. It's super exciting, but that's the price of admission. Okay, so I'll leave you with these 3 things. So cognitive city is incredible. The opportunities are great. It's predictive, it's proactive, whether it's a city or whether it's an enterprise. Got to focus on trust. You got to build trust through your employees, through your citizens, but you have to fundamentally build trust. Critical. You also have to understand that you have to shift your mindset. 7 months ago, when I was talking about metaverse, they thought I was crazy. They're like, yo, so what are you talking about, man? It's not going to fund anything. Matrix, you tech guys out there. Then all of a sudden, Facebook became Meta. Boop, 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 bing. Now everybody wants one. You got to change your mindset, though, because it's hard for us to say that, what do you mean digital first? You mean something that's digital can be worth more than the physical? Yes. And the way you can prove this to yourself is knowing what you are going to do is more valuable than what you actually do. She's selling cars. He's selling cars. This whole row is selling cars. All these people are potential buyers, but I know he's the only one that's going to buy right now. I know that. He's the only one that's going to buy right now. How many cars are you going to buy? 1 car. She's got to pay me for that. He's got to pay me. He's got to pay me. He's got to pay me. She's got to pay me. This whole section got to pay me, but he's going to buy 1 car. Knowing what you're going to do is more valuable than what you do. And then finally, the sources of value are different. Do not, just like you wouldn't evaluate a startup using a traditional IRR metrics that you would put on a traditional company, you cannot value a virtual asset the same way you do a physical one. It is a platform play. Land, scarcity, employment, all those things no longer apply in that valuation. So let me get really personal. What that means is, as I tell my peers all the time, they argue with me, you're not gonna buy an apartment in Neom. You're not gonna buy a house in Neom. You're gonna subscribe to one. That's a little different. You're gonna subscribe to one. Because a home is what? It's a set of services, set of expectations, set of experiences. You walk into a gym. What is a gym? It's a set of services that you need at the time. Then that gym goes away, and what does it become? It becomes a bank. Why? Because it's a set of services. It's what it provides to you. Would Google ever sell its platform? No. Why is that? Because the more people that use it, the more valuable it becomes. The economics of cognitive cities change dramatically your view of the world. So I'll leave you with this. Oftentimes everyone asks me, so how do you predict all this stuff? Are you a futurist? You got a crystal ball? Can you see what's happening? I wish that was the answer. Don't worry about what you don't know. Don't lose any sleep over that. Don't worry about that. But wake up each and every day and fundamentally challenge what it is that you believe to be true. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for this very energetic presentation. Does anyone have any questions? There's one.
Thank you for the presentation, Joseph. One quick question, particularly on the data exchange platform. And the reason why I'm asking is not only coming from building the complex data exchange platform or from UC Berkeley, where we are forced to think about it. So go Bears. My point is that, and before I raise the question, I would like to just establish one thing. The default state of data in any business is liability. In Cognitive City, how do you build that from liability to the value and to the trust?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hopefully everybody got that question. There was a piece of paper that was done by my friends at Gardner. Is the liability of big data is too great. I start laughing. I'm like, oh, who sponsored that? Google? The most valuable companies in the world are those companies that has and house your data. The consent issue that you have to deal with right now, the trust issue, is how you manage that very problem. You have to recognize upfront that you are a custodian of the information. It is not yours. By definition, it is that individual's. You have to recognize that. And you have to recognize that they have to have a deeper layer of consent. That means they have to understand exactly what you're using it for, why you're using it, and what you're going to create value for. That is not an end user license agreement that's 55 pages and you click accept. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. The liability issue. One of the ways in which you can get away from the liability issue, not totally, but one of the ways we're dealing with that is through the use of what's called synthetic data, right? So synthetic data is real data, but it's not tied to an actual real person. So you need lots of data to create machine learning models. Well, some really, really smart person came up with the fact that there's not enough real world data points. So if I create another model that can actually create data points and I feed that into the model that needs a lot of data points, it's actually more accurate than a model that used real live information. And then why is that? That's because you should know we live now in a world where there is no such thing as anonymized data. So if someone tells you that the data is anonymized, that is not a fact. That is factually not true. Because AI is at a point now where we can, in fact, figure out who you are and where you are. So the way you deal with that, consent management platform upfront, very clear. You have to deal with consent. Consent is critical to that. And you can augment that use through synthetic data. You can also do things, edge computing is also really critical. So one of the things in Meld, I'll give you a classic example. So you're a Westerner, you come to Neom, you're on the beach, you take a picture, you go, this is great, but you don't realize a Muslim woman with her kids, she's changing her tire in the background. You think, no big deal. You don't know. So you just put it on Meta and you put it on everywhere else and you're just going all around and they're like pissed. I had a horrible experience. Okay, so if you have Meld would say, you took that picture, it is your picture, but you did not have rights over her likeness. And so before that picture is taken to the cloud, her image would be dissolved and the backfill filled in. So you can do things of that sort once you have the platform, a consent management platform that's ingrained into the network as well. So those are some examples, but the big thing is consent. Consent is the big deal. Yeah. Yes. Consent is you're there and you're going to have to get. I mean, even with metadata now, we take the AI can take a picture of Neom. When we do today, it takes a picture of Neom. It categorizes everything. No human touches it, and looks it out, and then says, "Hey, guess what? You're at 27% complete, or 37% complete, 47% complete." But in all that process, though, it also has to look for consent. What if you got somebody walking? Can I show them on the Google map that I get their consent to? She's walking with 3 kids. Oh, it's a night. This person's come out of this cabin. Should they be in that cabin? Uh-oh. I was just using it for a construction management tool. That's what happens when you don't have a consent management platform. Okay, good. Other questions? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Bilal. I'm just curious because you spoke a lot about metaverse and that sort of technology and then virtual and all. I'm just curious if you guys actually have some sort of a link where we can just go ahead and jump in and
yeah. Okay, so the question is do you guys have a link where you can jump in and go check it out? Yes, we actually do. Fortunately, it's not public because the master plans are not public yet. But once those master plans and the Ground Prince feels that those are public, then it'd be more than happy to allow you to get a chance to interact with it. But the Xverse is an actual platform. We didn't get into this because it's not a product sale, but the platform that we built basically says that we recognize that you may want to create your Xverses on your own, like a website, or you may go to Sandbox or Decentraland to create your metaverses. So Xverse allows you to portal information between those platforms, right? Which is when you really get down to it. So it basically says, whatever your experience is, it allows you to create a digital asset and be able to maintain a consistent experience as you go across. It's a platform that allows you to build metaverses. And so that's what the core product is. But yes, we do have a site, just that the drawings have not been released publicly yet. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want your opinion on Apple's efforts in regards to privacy conservation about, the identifiers and anonymization and mathematical algorithms. Do you think that's helping the privacy paradox, or it doesn't matter?
So he said, what do you think about Apple? All their algorithms and everything, do you think is helping the privacy paradigm? First of all, I got to tell you, I got a lot of Apple stock. So don't listen to the word I just said, because I got to disclose that, right? I own Apple stocks. So I got to be careful about that. So let me be clear. I can't comment on Apple. I will tell you this. I believe that the days of black box algorithms are gone. And what I mean by that is saying that you have an algorithm that no one understands doesn't help. And I tell this to my team all the time. An algorithm does not go to jail. An algorithm can be responsible, but not accountable. A human being, at the end of the day, if we make a mistake, they're not going to go punish the algorithm. They're not going to sue the algorithm. They're not going to fire the algorithm. They're coming to me. So what does that mean? That means that if I do not have the ability to explain why an algorithm made a decision, that is my responsibility. That's on me. So the challenge that you have is you start getting neural networks, you start getting all this real fancy stuff. It gets really complicated really fast. Is at the end of the day, we as a human have to understand why that event did what it did. So autonomous driving is going to bring this to a huge head. The famous thing, do you hit the passenger? Do you hit the person walking the street? Do you save that person's life? And you give the life of the driver? Or do you, in that split second, does it save the life of the driver and take away the life of the citizen? When that happens, what are you going to do? You're going to put the algorithm on a jury trial? You're going to put all this evidence together and say, bad algorithm, bad algorithm. No. And so those are the things that I think that, the challenge is that it has to be explainable. So I think Apple is doing the right thing by disclosing and really getting at those privacy parameters, allowing you to see and get an understanding of what they are. But at the same time, they have to go much further so that you truly understand what you're consenting to. Yes. 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 Same. You get the same issue. You get the same. You're not going to run away from the issue. I mean, like I said, can you imagine being in the board meeting? Can you imagine being in the board meeting with Facebook? Can you imagine that? And can you imagine saying that we made a mistake so that we got to ditch the brand? Can you imagine that? But that tells you how important, how valuable trust is, right?
Hi, Joseph. Thank you for a very inspirational speech. I'd like to ask, if I'm a person that doesn't give any consent, any permission, am I able to live in Neom City?
Yes, but you're not going to like it. Yeah, you're not going to like it. I mean, and the reason I say that is look, you might enjoy the beautiful scenery, but the reality of the world is if you don't opt to participate, you can come and you can live. There's no thing that says you can't. But the reality is the whole experience of the city probably doesn't appeal to you because there's a lot of other places you can go. A lot of other places you can go where it's not the case. The other thing is, I think, but you guys are all going to have to make those decisions though. But you're going to have to make the same decision. No, you won't. But you're going to have to make the same decision, even besides Neom, I think in general. Do you know what the world is going to be like if you opt out? Just think about it. Are they going to stop sending you information? Are they going to stop sending you information? No. But what's going to be, what are they going to do? They're going to send you wrong information. They're not going to stop. They're not going to like, oh, no, they're just going to send you a bunch of different stuff. We don't know what she wants. Just keep sending her stuff till she buys something. So it is definitely something that, again, I think, again, we as a tech community have to solve this consent management issue. And if we can solve that and we can begin to gain trust, then I think we'll be fine. Okay? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And now the last keynote, which will be a talk from Assure partner Oliver Hassi, Senior Business Advisor at the Invest in Tampere region. He will be addressing the topic of Tampere Smart City, the Nordic capital for security and smooth life.
I'll take this. Hello, everyone. Thanks to Joseph Bradley for a fascinating presentation. An eye-opener for me that data anonymized data is not a true thing anymore. I'm going to, sorry. Am I on the right presentation? But let me introduce myself anyway. Oliver Huzzy is my name. I'm with Business Tampere. We're the economic development agency of the Tampere region. I'm not from Tampere originally myself. I'm from the west of Ireland. I've married a Finnish lady, which is how I ended up in Tampere. And I'd like to talk to you today about Tampere Smart City, the Nordic capital for security and smooth life. And I suppose with my wife and I, when we were discussing where we're going to move next, we were talking about topics like, okay, where will we find a nice place to live, good services, good infrastructure, good health service, good education for the kids. And my wife spoke about Tampere being very strong in all of these areas. And I think today's presentations show that there's been a lot of technology behind that, keeping the city safe, keeping it functioning well, keeping the infrastructure running smoothly. And if it's working, you don't see it. So in a sense, the city being able to maintain that quality of life has been a reason I've ended up in Tampere city. This is the Nokia Arena in downtown Tampere, capacity of 15,000, the site of the Ice Hockey World Championships this year. Now, we spoke about how Tampere is a great place to live. The focus of my presentation today is going to be around how Tampere is a great place to work and do business. So I'll speak about that first, show some international companies that have moved to Tampere and found success there. And then show a little bit of information about the safety and security cluster. So explain a little bit of why the SURE project that we're launching today did actually happen in Tampere. Have a quick look at a safety and security pilot, and then look towards our upcoming events later this year. The picture you see here is of the rapids in Tampere. As Perttu explained earlier, we have the two lakes, the upper and lower lakes. This here is our office. This is where I sit in my normal office, not virtual office. And the history is such that these buildings were built to harness the energy flowing there in the Tampere Rapids for hydroelectric power. And so the original industries began in these buildings. This is where the Industrial Revolution came to Finland. And since that time, Tampere has maintained its position as the center of industry, heavy industry in the country. So is anyone taking notes on the Finland versus United Arab Emirates competition in the rankings? We're going to have another round of competition here. So here's a few statistics and rankings gathered over the past few years. These are not just this year or last year. I'd like to point out, for example, the trust in police and justice system is the highest in Finland of any other EU nation. Also, we have one of the least corrupt countries in the world and safest countries in the world. And this leads, I think, overall to the fact that it is one of the happiest countries in the world and one of the most stable, up there with the United Arab Emirates. Very close. All of these factors, plus the availability of scientists, technologies, and skills, help to make Finland the most competitive foreign direct investment destination in the Nordics. So this is where we're located, about an hour and a half by train from the capital, Helsinki. And when we talk about Tampere's offering, we speak about ecosystems and clusters. That word ecosystems can be a little bit overused, so I'd like to clarify a little bit what we mean. It's a community where you can find new technologies, open innovation, new R&D partners, suppliers of services and goods, access to other networks, and a talented workforce. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of practical examples of these ecosystems and clusters. Here's an overview of the different ecosystems and clusters we have in the region. The dark blue are industry-orientated communities, light blue being more around technology. Here you see safety and security. And I want you to keep in mind that here you have the intelligent machines and manufacturing we spoke about from our industrial heritage. And we can't go very long through a presentation about Finland without mentioning the Nokia heritage. And so from these two industries, they have been the, let's say, the original strong points of the region, and the others have sprung from that. And I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean. You might think that the largest concentration of mobile machines in Europe might be in Germany, but in fact, it's in Tampere region in Finland. And generally speaking, these companies in our region are focusing on adding the intelligence, adding the autonomy, adding the sensors to these systems. Not necessarily the assembly, etc., but the adding of technologies from the smartphone business to these machines to make them better. We have here the largest test bed for port loading cranes in the world is in the middle of the forest in Tampere region. And Sandvik has one of the largest test beds for underground mining in the world in Tampere. They have, for example, developed a autonomous loader for mining, and that gets its data from a 5G network developed by Nokia. Another example of clusters you'll find in Tampere is the automotive cluster. Now, this is a bit of a funny one, because if you told someone 10 years ago there's an automotive cluster in Tampere, you might get strange looks, because there is there's no heritage of automotive OEM business in the Tampere region at all. So the reason this exists is because of the heritage in the smartphone business. This automotive cluster is in fact an automotive ICT cluster. So we're bringing the ICT know-how from the smartphone, new wireless technologies, new human interface technologies into the car to make the future car connected, autonomous, wireless, and shared, basically a smartphone on wheels. The imaging ecosystem, I coordinate this myself. It has attracted over 10 companies from overseas to open R&D sites in Tampere in the past 5 years. That includes Microsoft, Huawei, Xiaomi, and some of the leading brands in mobile technology in the world. So to look at some companies that have found success in Tampere, first we'll start here with Axon, a company from the US that has developed these wearable cameras for security forces and police forces. So the police person can interview who they're talking to without the need to be writing down notes all the time. They can concentrate on the interview. So this solution is developed in Tampere. Microsoft famously left Tampere some years ago, but they've come back and now developing the camera, the audio, and the RF technology for the new Surface range of products. And these companies you see here have all come to Tampere from all over the world to take advantage of the camera, imaging, optics know-how in the region. Then to machine building. This is a Sandvik's mining machine. This is an electric mining jumbo made at Sandvik's Rock Drill Innovation Center in Tampere. Sandvik is a Swedish company, but Sandvik's center in Tampere is one of the largest employers in the region. And you remember we talked about technology coming from the smartphone to enable new industries. Well, here's the perfect example of the automotive story that I mentioned. BHTC, Berhella Thermal Control, opened an R&D center in Tampere a few years ago, and they've developed this panel that goes into the Skoda Enyaq car. This is the first electric car in the Skoda range. It's basically a smartphone in a car, and that's all been developed in Tampere. Now I'd like to talk a little about the safety and security cluster, the reason why the SURE project happened in Tampere. So if we were to point out some of the strong points in the industry of safety and security in Tampere, it would be these 5. Here we have a representation of all of the different aspects of safety and security that you'll find in the region. And if I was to pick out one, I would maybe highlight cybersecurity amongst all of these. These are the members of the safety and security cluster in the Tampere region, and all listed here as well if you want to take note of those. So these are actively involved in developing solutions together, sharing information, sharing experiences, doing projects together. And what you'll observe is they can be basically put into 4 groups. And our speaker from Orange earlier referred to how essential it is to have the collaboration of all these parties. So businesses, research and educational institutions, non-governmental organizations, and also the public sector. And I've highlighted a number of these here. One of the reasons this cluster exists in Tampere is that these institutions all have sites in Tampere. Their activities in Finland are focused in Tampere. So the availability of these bodies, the Chemical and Safety Agency, the Police Education, our Research Institute, and the Defence Forces in the region has been a key benefit to the safety and security cluster. So to give you a few examples of companies developing safety and security solutions in our region. First, Insta, and Insta are part of the launch here today and have contributed to the SURE project. And you had a presentation earlier from our friends from Insta. Another company, Solita, who are active here, I believe in Dubai. They have developed the COVID-19 mobile application for tracking of close contacts during the pandemic. Insta, again, same company as we mentioned earlier, have developed the Emergency Response Center information system, command center. And then Digia have developed a mobile application for the citizens contacting the emergency services. So these are just a few to mention, and we'd love to put you in touch with these companies if you want to approach us afterwards. We're here to connect you with the right people if you want to find out more. And before we finish up, I wanted to give you a practical example of one of the pilots that have been done as part of the SURE project. So the scenario here is there is, let's say, a toxic gas leak. And how do the different authorities react to that? How do they cooperate? How do they respond appropriately? So the company Aeromon did a pilot with Tampere City and the SURE project folks to, first of all, simulate how this would play out across the city, taking into consideration factors like weather and the city structure and where it happens and so on. And then using that to train the different emergency response units. That's on the simulation side. Then on the, in the case of reacting to a real event, they use drones with sensors attached to fly up through the cloud of this toxic gas to sample in real time what's happening there so they can feed that information back to the command center so the again, the emergency services can respond appropriately. So we were able to share some more information about this and other pilots as well, if you're interested. And I'd like to wrap up with a reminder of our upcoming event in June. We have the Tampere Smart City Week, where over a period of, how many days? 2 days, we will explore these different themes at a real live event in Tampere. And you'd be very welcome to come and visit Tampere and join us for this, where you'll find out more about some of the projects we've mentioned today, but a lot more as well. And Business Tampere would also be happy to help you meet other businesses and matchmake you to other potential partners in the region if you would like to visit. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. And with any luck, we will not have -20 degrees in June by the time you have the smart week.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Okay, we are nearing the closing of this Sure launch here today. We are going to have some closing comments from Sure's Annina Autero, who is head of project. Here's Annina.
Okay, just briefly, I hope today you have felt safe and secure and enjoyed the day with some inspiration. We are really happy that we had the wonderful chance to visit Dubai and the World Expo here and share our views of safety and security and the Sure solution and the cognitive city elements as well. So the journey continues, and it requires a seamless interplay of several actors, and security is not done without each other. So let's continue the collaboration. It is needed, and I will thank you for the venue and for your presence here.
Thank you, Annina, and thank you for all your participation today, for the warm hospitality at the Expo, and all of the excellent speakers and guests, and all your comments and insights at this day. I'd like to invite you to join us for refreshments and networking still, and then we have these bags for all of our guests, so please make sure you get a bag with information and some special gifts from Finland. Thank you so much.